Aliens sacrificed a human mother and child to their war beast, but what happened shook the galaxy. The Krrath Empire ruled by fear. They didn't just conquer planets. They broke them. Whole cities were burned to ash as warnings to others. And in every world they took, they held the same ritual, the sacrifice to the war beast. The war beast was no ordinary creature. Bred over centuries, fed on the corpses of armies, it stood 30 feet tall, its scales black as midnight, its maw lined with serrated fangs that could shear through a battleship's armor. Its name was Skovar, and its mere roar could send soldiers fleeing. On the occupied colony of Arden, for the Krrath chose their latest victims, a human woman named Elara and her 6-year-old son, Jace. They were taken at dawn. Elara had fought to shield Jace, screaming into the butt of a rifle silencer. They were dragged to the central plaza, where thousands of terrified colonists were forced to watch. The Krrath High Commander addressed the crowd in his guttural, clicking language. A translator drone broadcast the meaning. Let this sacrifice remind you, submission is survival. Defiance is meat. The gates of the war beast's pen clanged open. From the darkness emerged Skovar. His head alone was the size of a dropship, his claws digging craters into the ground. The air thickened with the stench of blood and heat. Jace whimpered, clinging to his mother's dress. Elara pulled him close, whispering, "Don't look." The Krrath shoved them forward. The crowd braced for the end. No one had ever survived the sacrifice. Skovar was a weapon of pure instinct, bound only by the will of the Krrath handlers. But as the great beast approached, something happened. He stopped. His massive nostrils flared. The crowd fell silent, confused. Skovar's molten gold eyes locked onto Elara, not with the hunger of a predator, but with something stranger. He lowered his head until his snout was inches from hers. Every Krrath soldier tensed, fingers on triggers. Elara didn't move. Jace's small hand clutched hers, so tightly her fingers went numb. The beast sniffed again. Then he let out a deep, rumbling sound, not a roar, but something softer. A sound that no one in the plaza could remember ever hearing from him. He stepped back. The High Commander barked orders. Whips cracked against Skovar's hide, goading him forward. The beast's lip curled in a low growl, but not at Elara. With terrifying speed, Skovar turned and lunged not toward a prey, but toward the nearest Krrath guard. The soldier had time for one scream before the war beast's jaws closed around him, armor and all. Blood sprayed across the plaza. Panic erupted. The crowd scattered, Krrath soldiers shouting in chaos as their unstoppable weapon turned on them. Elara grabbed Jace's arm. Run! But instead of chasing them, Skovar thundered past, flattening a line of soldiers with a single swipe of his tail. He tore through the Krrath ranks as if they were paper. Elara and Jace fled toward the edge of the square, only to be blocked by a squad of soldiers. They raised their rifles. The shots never came. A shadow blotted out the sun. Skovar dropped down between them, his massive body shielding the humans. He snarled at the soldiers, and they faltered. Then, with a roar that shook the stones beneath their feet, he leapt, his claws and teeth doing the rest. When the last soldier fell, Skovar crouched low and nudged Elara and Jace gently with his snout. "You want us to climb?" Elara asked in disbelief. Jace didn't hesitate. He scrambled onto the beast's massive neck, laughing through his tears. Elara followed, clutching her son as Skovar surged forward, smashing through the gates of the plaza. The city became a blur beneath them as Skovar ran, his long strides carrying them faster than any vehicle. Krrath skiffs gave chase, firing plasma rounds, but the beast zigzagged through alleyways and leapt over walls with impossible agility. At the edge of the city, Skovar plunged into the jungle, weaving between towering trees. The sound of pursuit faded behind them. When they finally stopped in a clearing, Elara slid down, helping Jace to the ground. Her legs shook, not from fear, but from the sheer impossibility of what had just happened. The war beast watched her, his great head tilted slightly, as if waiting. "Why?" she whispered. "Why us?" Skovar blinked slowly, then lowered himself to the ground beside them. It was Jace who said it first. "He's not bad, Mom. He was just with the wrong people." For days, Skovar stayed near them, hunting alien game and bringing the carcasses to their camp. He let Jace climb his tail and sit between the ridges of his back. At night, he coiled protectively around them, his breath warm against the cold jungle air. Word of the betrayal spread through the Krrath ranks, and bounty hunters flooded the sector, determined to reclaim or kill the war beast. But each time they closed in, Skovar ambushed them before they could reach Elara and Jace. What began as survival turned into something more. Elara realized Skovar, responded to her voice, even without the whips or control devices the Krrath used. He was listening and protecting. Eventually, the three reached the human resistance on the far side of Arden 4. At first, the rebels aimed every weapon they had at the beast, shouting for Elara to move away. She stood in front of him, hands raised. If you shoot him, you're no better than them. It took time, but the truth became undeniable. Skovar was fighting for them now. His knowledge of Krrath fortresses and supply lines was unmatched, and with him as their vanguard, the resistance began winning battles they had no right to win. Within a year, the Krrath were forced to retreat from Arden for entirely. Years later, historians would argue over what had truly happened that day in the plaza. Some claimed the beast had gone feral, attacking its masters by chance. Others insisted it was proof that the war beast could be reprogrammed with enough human conditioning. But Elara knew the truth, and so did Jace. It wasn't programming. It wasn't chance. It was a choice. And in the legends that spread across the galaxy, they no longer called him Skovar the war beast. They called him Skovar the protector, the creature who had once been fed human sacrifices, until a day he chose to save them instead.